Hello and welcome to CloudTruth. CloudTruth centralizes your infrastructure and application configuration for your build, deploy, and runtime needs. It gets your ops, dev, and security teams on the same page with simplified and organized config data. CloudTruth becomes your single record of configuration truth for your infrastructure, applications, and pipelines. In this quick walkthrough, we're going to deploy an EC2 instance and security group using Cloudformation and SSM parameter store and see how CloudTruth can help streamline this process and allow us to deploy to multiple environments with different parameters. So let's take a look. Here is the Cloudformation template we're going to deploy. It's a fairly straightforward template that deploys a stack set that contains a security group and an EC2 instance. As you can see here, we're going to choose development or production for our environment, and each environment is going to deploy to a different region, which is why we're using a stack set. That region is going to be provided within our parameter store, which is going to be populated by CloudTruth. Now, some of the other parameters that we're going to need to populate are the AMI type, which will allow us to reference the ID we need for the image. We're going to pass in an access IP, which will give us access to the server on port 80. And then we're going to add an instance name and provide an instance size. So we're not going to dive too deep into that. Let's go ahead and hop into CloudTruth and see how this is going to streamline this process. All right, within CloudTruth, we have a project. A project is typically going to represent the component that you want to configure. This is usually one-to-one with a Git repository. So in this case, we're deploying our EC2 servers, and we're going to keep those parameters scoped to just those resources. Now, the next thing we've got is, of course, our environments. In this case, there is only a development and production environment to keep things simple. And then, of course, you also have this default environment. So any parameters defined within the default environment will trickle down to development and production. You can then nest even further and have perhaps developers under the development or regions under production, whatever makes sense for your deployments. Now, each environment can have a tag which indicates a snapshot of that environment at a specific time. So this is excellent in case something is configured improperly or you need to roll back for some other reason. These tags can also be made immutable if you need. Now let's take a look at our parameters. As you remember, we had several parameters in the Cloudformation template. And in this case, we've got an access IP, AMI type, instance name, instance size, and region. So if I load the default screen here, you can see the access IP is not specified. We don't want any access IP that's going to flow to the others. If it's not specified, this will ensure that we have utmost security. We have an AMI type, which from this will allow the template to derive the image ID for each region. And now we have an instance name. Now this instance name is actually a dynamic parameter. If we edit that value, you can see we have selected dynamic. And what we're doing is passing in the CloudTruth environment name and just appending server to the back. So we'll have development server or production server. And as you can see here, we can evaluate it based on the environment we choose. So if I choose development and evaluate, you can see that's the development server, and production, of course, is the production server. Back to our parameters screen, and then we have an instance size, which in this case is set to t2.micro. As you can see, that is in the default environment, and we set a different size for production. I've set that as a t2.small. Now, if we take a look at the region, once again, that is one that I do not have anything set for in the default environment. If I go to edit parameter settings and show the rules, we can see that I actually have a regex expression here that only allows US East or West 1 or 2. So that ensures that we don't go to any regions that are not accepted. And the final parameter that I want to look at is the access IP. If I open this, you will see that I have a custom type of IP address. Now this type enforces this regular expression. You are free to create any type of custom type that you need based on those regular expressions. And you can do that right here within the admin panel. As you can see, I have a type name of IP address, a description, and the base type is a string. And of course, then we just pass in this regex constraint to ensure that we have an IP address in CIDR notation. All right, so that's a quick walkthrough of the parameters, project, and environments. Let's actually push this and see CloudTruth in action. So what I've done is I've set up an AWS integration, as you can see here, which gives me access to SSM Secrets Manager S3, And what I'm going to do is set my tag to the latest configuration. So if I open the date picker and choose now and save and do the same with production, I can then head to actions, click on push and sync my 2 pushes here. You can see here it has a record of all of the pushes and updates that I've performed. And what that's going to do is push all of those to my parameter store. And as you can see here in my parameter store, we have all of those parameters ready to go. If I head back to Cloudformation, you can see that in many of my areas, we're resolving that SSM parameter, referencing the environment, and then choosing the parameter based on that environment. So let's go ahead and deploy this. I'll give that a name. And I'm going to choose my environment parameter here. As you can see, I have development or production. I'll click next and submit. And once everything's complete, we can take a look on our EC2 dashboard, see the instance, and see that the security group was deployed using the IP address I specified for development. And all of this, of course, is in North Virginia, which is US East 1. Now, if I head back to CloudFormation, create this stack again, and this time choose production. As you can see, the production server has been deployed. It is a T2 small, and the security group has a source all open to port 80, just as I had specified within the parameter. Now, if I ever needed to change anything, I would just need to go back into my parameters, make the change, head to environments, update the tag, push to parameter store, and redeploy my environment. So as you can see, CloudTruth makes everything way simpler by giving you a single pane of glass, and it can even do some really amazing things like sync with your GitHub repository and even pull dynamic parameters from your Terraform state. There are so many things that CloudTruth is able to do to simplify your environment. So I hope you enjoyed this quick walkthrough, and thanks for watching.